Dear children, it's nice to be back again with another new lesson, that is the sound of music part 2. You remember part 1 about Evelyn Glennie? Was it inspiring? Of course. Yes, it was, right? See, now Evelyn Glennie was a person who has a disability. But this person has actually created a new instrument from an instrument that was banned. வேண்டான்னு சொல்லி தூக்கி போட்ட இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்லேருந்து this person has created a new instrument. So he is a very inspiring musician. And you know what his name is? His name is Bismillah Khan. Okay, now I've given you a picture. Can you see a picture of a few musicians given over there? See, the first person is Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, and he is a flute player. Very, very famous people they are. And second one is Vilayat Khan, who is with the sitar. Third one is Akkare sisters, they are called as. They have a violin with them. And you know this person who is Ustad Zakir Hussain with the tabla. Have you all seen that advertisement? Wah Taj, he says, isn't it? So he is the person, Zakir Hussain, his name is. And then comes Ustad Amzad Ali Khan with the sharod. He's got a sharod and he's a sharod player. Then comes Kannukudi Vaidyanathan. He is also a violinist. And then comes Sultan Khan with the sarangi. And here is our man, that is Ustad Bismillah Khan. Now we are going to talk and discuss and we are going to know more about this particular person who is Ustad Bismillah Khan. Okay? So let's see his history and how he created this new instrument. Are you ready? Now I want you to take page number 21. Turn with me. Yes, to page number 21. And there I'm going to read it paragraph by paragraph, explain it to you, and then the word meanings are also given. You can copy down those word meanings, and there is a worksheet being sent, so you have to do the worksheet also. Are you all ready? Come on. Musicians means you remember people like A.R. Rahman. They are all this era people, your period. This generation knows musicians like A.R. Rahman and then Anirudh, and there are so many others too, isn't it? But this person is a musician and he has actually created the instrument itself. So we're going to talk about him. Let me start reading. Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of a musical instrument called pungi in the royal residence, for it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Pungi became the generic name for reeded noisemakers. Few had thought that it would one day be revived. A barber of a family of professional musicians who had access to the royal palace decided to improve the tonal quality of the pungi. He chose a pipe with a natural hollow stem that was longer and broader than the pungi, and made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. When he played on it, closing and opening some of these holes, soft and melodious sounds were produced. He played the instrument before royalty and everyone was impressed. The instrument, so different from the pungi, had to be given a new name. As the story goes, since it was first played in the Shah's chamber and was played by a nai, that is, nai means barbers are called as nai. So he is from a barber's family. So he is Nai, and the instrument was named the Shenai. Yes, let's begin like this. Pungi was, it was a musical instrument actually. And this was before the Shenai came. Shenai create பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி this Pungi was there. And when the Mughals ruled India, before the Britishers came to India, the Mughals were ruling India. So there was a very famous Mughal ruler, and his name was Aurangzeb. And he did not allow the Pungi to be played in the royal residence. In his palace, he didn't want that to be played because he felt that sound was very unpleasant, very shrill. Shrill means very unpleasant. That sound was keechin or a sound which he did not like. So any instrument which is made with these reeds. Reeds means these wind instruments which have reeds like the flute, the clarinets. So they are all classified as Pungi. They all come under this Pungi category. So this Pungi is a broad name for any type of instrument which uses wind to produce sound. You got it? So whichever instrument uses wind to produce sound, they come under this Pungi category. So like this Pungi was a name, a generic name was given for all these reeded instruments. Okay. And then what happened was this Aurangzeb, I told you, isn't it? He banned, he did not like this. So he stopped people playing this Pungi. When he had stopped this Pungi to be played in the royal residence, no one thought that one day such noisemakers or such instruments which made this unpleasant sound would be played and will become so famous, and the sound will be liked by the audience. Nobody thought. How this happened, இது எப்படி நடந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா, இதை பேன் பண்ண ஒரு இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்டை ஒரு காலகட்டத்தில் it became very famous. இது எப்படி நடந்துச்சு அப்படிங்கிறத we are going to see. As the Pungi had very unpleasant sound, there was a barber. He belonged to the barber's family. He comes from that barber's family. Barberna mudi வெட்டுறவங்கன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. But they are all, though they were barbers, அவங்க professional, they were musicians. They actually liked music and they were professional musicians. They used to play music. And he wanted to play the Pungi, but he knew that the sound that the Pungi produced, was very unpleasant. So what he planned to do was, he decided to improve the sound. One barber, he decided to do what? He decided to improve the sound of the Pungi. So this barber took a pipe, and what he did, a pipe which had a hollow stem. Hollow abdina, empty from inside, fully empty. And it was longer and it was broader also, not like the Pungi. See, I've given you the pictures of Pungi and Shenai. Pungi is shorter, but this instrument that he made was longer and it was broader also. And what he did was, he made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. Have you all seen a flute? So something like that. So he made 7 holes in that. Then what he did was, then he blew air into the pipe. And you all have seen the flute being played, isn't it? That pipe will have the holes, and the holes will be closed and opened. Different holes will be closed and opened. So what he did, same thing he did. He closed and opened the holes and he played that instrument. And he found that very soft and melodious sounds were produced when he did like this. So when the barber did, he wanted to play this in the royal court. He wanted to play this in the palace, because the king already had what? He had banned, isn't it? But still, when he saw that this was very soft and nice to be played, he wanted to show that. He had a hope that everyone will like this sound. So what he did was, he took it to the royal court. and he played that pungi. When he played that pungi, you know what happened? Everyone started to like the sound which was produced by this new instrument. So this new instrument was not given the same name as pungi. They did not want to name the new instrument as pungi. So the story begins like this. Because this instrument was played for the first time in the royal residence of the Shah. Shah was the name given to the king. That is, the Mughal king's name was Shah. So it was played first, where it was played in the Shah's court. That is in the in Aurangzeb's palace. So it was played there, and it was played by a Nai, and this Nai only created it or invented it, you can say. So because this Nai created this instrument, you know, both these names, that is Shah and Nai, was combined together, and this new instrument was named as Shahnai. It was played the first time in Shah's court, and it was played by a Nai. So the first part is Shah, which stands for Shah, and the second part is Nai, that is a barber. So this instrument was named as Shahnai. Okay, so this is how this Shahnai came into existence. Yes, let's go to the next paragraph. The sound of the Shahnai began to be considered auspicious, and for this reason it is still played in temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. In the past, the Shahnai was part of the Naubat, or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at royal courts. Till recently, it was used only in temples and weddings. The credit for bringing this instrument onto the classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. Okay. Now this sound which was produced by the Shahnai, you know, was considered to be a good omen. Before it was very shrill and unpleasant, isn't it? Now it was considered to be a good omen. Means ஒரு நல்ல காரியத்துக்காக இதை யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. And so it was played on good occasions. Good occasions like weddings and marriages and all that. Okay, so very auspicious. Auspicious, you can say, is promising to bring good fortune. ஒரு நல்ல காரியத்துக்காக நல்லது நடக்கும்போது இந்த ஷனாயை ப்ளே பண்ண it was allowed. Okay, and you can hear Shahnai being played at many temples also, and at the weddings also, isn't it? Indispensable. Indispensable means without which a piece of work cannot be done at all. Something which is very, very necessary. So without the Shahnai in the temples and in the weddings and temples, this Shahnai was very, very important and very much necessary also. Okay. And you know what happened next is the Shahnai was a part of the Naubat. Naubat is an Urdu word, and it means the traditional ensemble. That means a traditional group of 9 musical instruments. Ensemble here is considered as a group. Ensemble means ensembles in irukku, but actually it should be pronounced as ensemble. So ensemble abdina, Naubat abdina, now abdina, it is 9 instruments. 9 musical instruments should be played. In the good occasions la vande 9 instruments will be played. So these 9 musical instruments were played at the royal court, and Shahnai was also a part of the Naubat. So ஒரு நல்ல காரியம் நடக்கணும் அப்படின்னா 9 instruments will be played, and the 9 instruments la one of the instrument was which one? Was Shahnai. Yes. The Shahnai was played at the king's court in temples and weddings. I kept telling you this, yes. And it was also used on stage performances. Stage performance in the concerts la nadakla, musical concerts எல்லாம் நடக்கல. So that is called the stage performances. So even there it was used. And see, this instrument has become so famous, and so the credit goes to whom? Actually, yes, the credit goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan, who was a legendary Shehnai player. So he became a legend, a very famous person who had created the Shehnai, and he had brought the Shehnai to a very important place. And people wanted to hear him play the Shehnai. So that famous the Shehnai had become. As a 5-year-old, Bismillah Khan played Gilli Danda near a pond in the ancient estate of Damroen in Bihar. He would regularly go to the nearby Biharji temple to sing the Bhojpuri Chaita, at the end of which he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg, a prize given by the local Maharaja. This happened 80 years ago, and the little boy has travelled far to earn the highest civilian award in India, the Bharat Ratna. Born on 21st March 1916, Bismillah belongs to a well-known family of musicians from Bihar. His grandfather Razul Baks Khan was the Shehnai Nawaz of the Bhojpur King's court. His father Paigambar Baks and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. The young boy took to music early in life. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in Benares, now Varanasi, Bismillah was fascinated watching his uncles practice the Shehnai. Soon, Bismillah started accompanying his uncle Ali Baks to the Vishnu temple of Benares, where Baks was employed to play the Shehnai. Ali Baks would play the Shehnai, and Bismillah would sit captivated for hours on end. Slowly he started getting lessons in playing the instrument and would sit practicing throughout the day. For years to come, the temple of Balaji and Mangala Maya and the banks of the Ganga became the young apprentice's favorite haunts, where he would practice in solitude. The flowing waters of the Ganga inspired him to improvise and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai. When Bismillah was 5 years old, he lived in an old estate, and that was named as Damroen, and now presently it is Bihar estate. Okay, so he used to play this Gilli Danda. There's a game with the stick and the stone they play, isn't it? So he used to play this Gilli Danda, an old sport, like something very similar to cricket. So what he used to do is he would go to the nearby Biharji temple. There was a temple. He was a Muslim, but still he used to go to the temple. He would sing this song, that is Chaita, and that was in the Bhojpuri language. So Bhojpuri language is spoken in an area of Bihar. Biharla இந்த போஜ்பூரிங்கிறது ஒரு லாங்குவேஜ், ஒரு ஏரியாவில் particularly they speak. So this song was sung, this Chaita was sung by Bismillah Khan. Though he was a Muslim, he used to go to the temple and sing this Chaita. When he would finish singing, reciting this song, he would get a big laddu, ஒரு 1.25 kg laddu he used to get as a reward from that Maharaja, local Maharaja, used to give for his singing. So this boy was very happy, and he used to come with the laddu. This incident occurred when Bismillah was 5 years old, and he would get this laddu as a reward. But at 80, he achieved the highest civilian award in India, and that is the Bharat Ratna. Now comes his history. See, Bismillah Khan was born on 21st March 1960, and in a family of musicians from Bihar. They come from that musician's family. Though he was a nai, though he was a barber, but still professional musicians they were. They used to sing, they used to play the music. So he comes from that family. Okay. So his paternal ancestors were great Shehnai players. Paternal abdinale, father's side. So father's side, they were great Shehnai players. And we can say that Bismillah Khan also acquired the skill from playing the Shehnai is from his ancestors only. Because they used to play, father, grandfather, all of them used to play. So he also got the same thing from them. So Bismillah Khan ji also started learning music at a very early age. When he was just 3 years old, his mother took him to her parents' side. So he used to sit with his maternal uncles. Maternal uncles abdina mama, amma udiya pakkam. So they lived in Benares. Benares it is called as Varanasi. So when Bismillah Khan saw his maternal uncles, they played the Shehnai, he was so much attracted towards it, and he also wanted to learn playing it. So he started to learn this instrument. So Bismillah Khan started going with his uncle Ali Bux. This Ali Bux is Bismillah Khan's uncle. And this Ali Bux used to go to Vishnu temple in Benares. Ali Bux also used to go accompany him. Means he used to go along with him to Vishnu temple of Benares. So he was totally captivated abdina. He was so much attracted. On end abdina, for a very long time he used to just sit and continuously play and without stopping he used to play and watch his uncle play the Shehnai. So he was so much attracted to it. So when Bismillah Khan saw his uncle Ali Bux play the Shehnai, he got very much attracted to listening to this music. Gradually what he did, Bismillah Khan also started learning to play the Shehnai. And he would practice all day. He never got tired. He was so much captivated with the instrument. You got it? Yes. For many years, Ustad Bismillah Khan, he remained there in Benares. He stayed in Benares. He would visit the temple of Balaji, the temple of Mangala Maya, and would remain on the bank of river Ganga. So his place was there, where he would practice playing the Shehnai all by himself. He used to sit and keep playing over there. Here we come to know that Ustad Bismillah was very much talented. He was so inspired and motivated by river Ganga. So this gave him thoughts to improve this. He used to sit near river Ganga, isn't it? And because he used to sit there, and it inspired him so much that there was a thinking that came into him, and it improved his performance. He also invented many ragas. He was very talented, so he invented many ragas that were considered impossible to be produced by Shehnai. Shehnai many ragas used to invent. All this used to do. So Ustad Bismillah Khan worked very hard and invented different sounds with the Shehnai. At the age of 14, Bismillah accompanied his uncle to the Allahabad Music Conference. At the end of his recital, Ustad Fiyaz Khan patted the young boy's back and said, "Work hard and you shall make it." With the opening of the All India Radio in Lucknow in 1938 came Bismillah's big break. He soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio. When Bismillah was 14 years of age, he went with his maternal uncle Ali Bux. He accompanied him. Accompanied him means he went with him to the Allahabad Music Conference. There you see something happened there. There Ustad Fiyaz Khan, he was a very famous classical vocalist. Okay. So he was very much impressed by the performance. And he said that Whose performance he saw Bismillah Khan's performance, and he was very much impressed, and he said if you work hard like that, he would make a name in the field of music. He will become very, very famous, he said. And he patted him. Patted him means he அந்த தட்டி கொடுக்குறாங்கன்னு சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல, that is called as patted. So what happened was, when the All India Radio started, it's actually a radio station at Lucknow, okay, like how we have the television nowadays. Those days it was the radio, and everything went on air. Radio worked on air, so all the people would hear or listen to what has been performed from the radio station. So this Ustad Bismillah Khan, what he did was, he started performing from the radio station at Lucknow. So from there he used to perform, and often his Shanai performance would be on air. Now this is how he started to become famous. Got it? When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shanai. He poured his heart out into Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who later gave his famous Tryst with Destiny speech. Here comes another great performance. This is the greatest, you can say. See, Ustad Bismillah Khan, what he did was, he was the first Indian to greet the entire nation through his Shanai. He welcomed, he played the Shanai, and he welcomed the people. He greeted the entire nation. This was after the independence. So he played the Shanai from the Red Fort on this memorable occasion. Okay, so the rag, that is the tune that was played by Ustad Bismillah Khan on the occasion of the independence of India, was Rag Kafi, and he played it from the Red Fort. After his performance, the Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, gave his famous speech, Tryst with Destiny. Okay, Bismillah Khan has given many memorable performances both in India and abroad. His first trip abroad was to Afghanistan, where King Zahir Shah was so taken in by the maestro that he gifted his priceless Persian carpets and other souvenirs. The King of Afghanistan was not the only one to be fascinated with Bismillah's music. Film director Vijay Bhatt was so impressed after hearing Bismillah play at a festival that he named a film after the instrument called Goonj Uthi Shanai. The film was a hit, and one of Bismillah Khan's compositions, Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya, turned out to be a nationwide chartbuster. Despite this huge success in the celluloid world, Bismillah Khan's ventures in film music were limited to two: Vijay Bhatt's Unj Uti Shanai and Vikram Srinivas's Kannada venture Sannadi Appanna. I just can't come to terms with the artificiality and glamour of the film world, he says with emphasis. Now here this paragraph says that Bismillah Khan gave many performances in India and also abroad. Abroad means other countries. Some of them were very memorable, like the one at Afghanistan. This king of Afghanistan, King Zahir Shah, he really loved Bismillah's performance, and he gifted so many things, it seems, which were made in Afghanistan, like the Persian carpets, etc. So Ustad Bismillah Khan would remember his first visit abroad, that was to Afghanistan. There were many other people also who were attracted to his Shanai's music. That is, Unj Uti Shanai was the name of a Hindi movie. It was made by Vijay Bhatt. He was a film director, and he really liked the sound of the Shanai played by Bismillah Khan, and that is why he named his movie as Unj Uti Shanai. There was a song in the movie that is Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya. It was composed by Ustad Bismillah Khan and it became a chartbuster. Chartbuster means it was a record break. It broke all the records. So, although this song was a chartbuster, Bismillah Khan got a lot of success in this film, but he composed music for only 2 films. The names of the movies were Onj Utti Shanai, made by Vijay Bhatt, and also for a Kannada movie made by Vikram Srinivas, and that was called as Sannadi Appana. Bismillah Khan would say that he did not like the artificial world of films. Film world he did not like. And that glamour that was there in the film world, all this he did not like. That is why he did not compose music for many films. And next we will see his awards and recognition. Awards and recognition came thick and fast. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. He also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal, in the Cannes Art Festival, and in the Osaka Trade Fair. So well known did he become internationally that an auditorium in Tehran was named after him, Tahar Mosaic Ustad Bismillah Khan. National awards like the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, and the Padma Vibhushan were conferred on him. In 2001, Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna, with the coveted award resting on his chest and his eyes glinting with rare happiness. He said, "All I would like to say is, teach your children music. This is Hindustan's richest tradition. Even the West is now coming to learn our music." In spite of having travelled all over the world, Khan Saab, as he is fondly called, is exceedingly fond of Benares and Damroin, and they remain for him the most wonderful towns of the world. A student of his once wanted him to head a Shanai school in the USA, and the student promised to recreate the atmosphere of Benares by replicating the temples there. But Khan Saab asked him if he would be able to transport river Ganga as well. Later he is remembered to have said, "That is why whenever I am in a foreign country, I keep yearning to see Hindustan. While in Mumbai, I think of only Benares and the holy Ganga. And while in Benares, I miss the unique Mata of Damroin." Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India. One that effortlessly accepts that a devout Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shanai every morning at the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Now see, Bismillah Khan got a lot of recognition, awards, and was honored with awards. Okay, so Bismillah Khan ji performed all over the world. He performed in the US at the Lincoln Center Hall. He performed in Montreal, that is Australia, in the World Exposition. He performed at Cannes Art Festival, and he also performed in Japan at the Osaka Trade Fair. Now, Tehran is located in Iran. Bismillah Khan was so famous all over the world that in Tehran, in Iran, an auditorium has been named after him, it seems. So, an auditorium only is given his name. Now, Ustad Bismillah Khan has been awarded with these national awards. When Ustad Bismillah Khan received India's highest civilian award, that is the Bharat Ratna, in the year 2001, his eyes were just shining, He was very happy because his hard work had been recognized. He gave an important message to the country. He told all the Indians to teach music to their children because music is the richest tradition of India. He said that even the Western countries want to learn Indian music. Although, Bismillah Khan had traveled all over the world, he was given so much respect and recognition. Okay, so but he remained very firm in telling that Benares, where he learned music, and Damruin, where he was born and brought up, were the two most wonderful towns of the world for him. So he loved these two places. One is where he learned music was Benares, and where he was born was Damruin. So he was so humble that although he had traveled all over the world, still he was attached to his birthplace. Then there was a student of Ustad Bismillah Khan. He wanted him to start a Shanai school in the USA. So he promised that he will recreate means he'll bring that Benares and the other temples and all to US. That environment he'll create, he promised. Who? That student. And so that Bismillah Khan ji will not forget or will not miss his towns. Now Ustad Bismillah Khan was attached to river Ganga also. So he asked a student, okay, you can bring you can recreate the temples of Benares, but can you bring Ganga from there, from India? No. So because he was very much attached to river Ganga also. So that's what he's asking. Can you transport river Ganga also to America? So he wanted to say that he would never leave India. He was so much attached to the temples of Benares and to the holy river Ganga. Now Ustad Bismillah Khan ji said that whenever he visited any foreign country, he always had that desire. He yearned means he longed to see India. He wanted to just return back to India. He wanted to come back to India. And when he was in Mumbai also, he wanted to visit Benares and Ganga river. And when he was in Benares, he missed his birthplace, Damruin, and that song Chaita, and that Laddu, all that you remember when he was young. So all this, was always coming to his mind. So he never wanted to miss all this. Here, the writer says that Ustad Bismillah Khan was a very perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India. His work was beyond the religion barriers. See, though he was a Muslim, he liked to play in the temples. He learnt over there. He was there all the time. See, he never thought that he was a Muslim. He had no barriers, religion barriers. That is what, no block. Okay, so he just came out of it and he started to play the Shanai and he became famous. Although he was a very strict Muslim, he followed the Muslim laws, but every morning he played the Shanai at the Kashi Vishwanath temple, which was a Hindu temple. So this shows that he did not have the barriers of religion in his mind, and he was a very, very true Indian. So he considered music to be India's richest cultural heritage. So Ustad Bismillah Khan had become ill for a long time, and he died on 21st August 2006 at the age of 90. So the entire country mourned means they cried. The entire country mourned the death of the legendary musician. He was a legend. So there was a holiday for one day which was given, and he was given a state funeral. So he was given all the respect and honor. So that's how he was kept in India. So he was a very, very famous personality, and I hope that you have understood the lesson. Thank you very much, children. Now let's see to the word meanings. Banned means prohibited. Shrill is very sharp. Unpleasant means something that you don't like or dislike, you can say. Revived means brought back to live or brought back to life. Tonal quality means sound. Hollow means empty from inside. Now the next one is auspicious. Auspicious means promising to bring good fortune. Indispensable. Indispensable, something which is very necessary. Ensembles. It's actually en, but you have to pronounce it as ensembles. Ensembles means things. Here it is instruments, considered as a group. And then comes captivated. Captivated means attracted. On end. On end is continuously. Next comes apprentice, trainee. Haunt, places you like to visit many times. And then is solitude. Solitude means single. Recital. Recital means performance. Taken in by. Taken in by means attracted. Then comes souvenirs. Souvenirs means things given in memory of a place, person or event. And then comes chartbuster. Chartbuster, record breaker. Let's see to a few more meanings. Celluloid. Celluloid means old-fashioned way of referring to films. Venture, something which has a lot of risk. Emphasis, to lay stress on something. Thick and fast, that means he got a lot of awards and was recognized at many places. Conferred means given, usually an award or a degree. Yes, a few more. Coveted. Coveted means very much desired. You like something very much, it is called as coveted. Replicating. Replicating means making a copy of something. Yearning, having a desire for something. Devote. Devote means believing strongly in a religion and obeying its laws and following its practices. So such a person is called a devote. Thank you.